Okay, so as I was collecting some footage for a in-depth impressions video that I was going to do for the latest build of StarForge 0.5.5 Alpha, came across this little number here, and I figured it was deserving of its own video, so I'll sprinkle in some other impressions along the way while we look into this. I may or may not do a fully in-depth video. I will say that all three modes are back: creative, survival, and fort defense. You now have seeded procedural environments, so you can select a seed and generate various environments based on what that seed is, ranging, it'll put you in the mountains, to the forest, to some karst landscape, and it foreshadows the biomes that have been discussed earlier, and how they want to have various biomes for the world that you can travel to, and it looks spectacular, and I think they've done a great job. It's no longer just the wormhole, and like, just look at that, it's fantastic. Can you imagine if they get water going in this, just to see a waterfall jetting out from that, or just some sort of spring even, like, it just, get some fluid dynamics in here, and it would just be absolutely epic to run across that. Now, this was a performance build. That was kind of the big hype behind it, was that performance is going to increase. I've noticed it. I run on a GTX 560 and a Xeon 1230 with 8 gigs. Of course, the 8 gigs doesn't matter because it's only 32-bit build. As you see some pop-up there, we got some huge pop-up, which is, I want to comment on, because a lot of people were saying how they have huge performance drops when they play the game for a long time. And I noticed that as you're traveling through the world, the landscape will generate procedurally, and it's almost like you're outrunning that procedural generation. And it's not, you're traversing through the world faster than the landscape can actually generate. And so I think that's running into some performance issues there. It's not so much that you're seeing frame drops due to playtime, you're seeing frame drops to the amount of information being processed, and you're running into it, and it's not having time to settle, so to speak, in general terms. Because I've stopped playing, and I've sat there, and after a few minutes, my FPS has bumped up again. But here we go, we base jumped into the cavern, and as you can see, there are deposits on the wall, and geologically, this makes much more sense to have these deposits. It makes sense geologically, it's more natural, it's more logical, and from a gameplay perspective, it's much more efficient. You can come across these iron deposits, or even these oil deposits. You'll see oil that I'll be mining here in a second, and you can just sit there and just find it and just mine the shit out of it. And it's amazing, and it's unfortunate that you can't save off of that still, because you have these amazing terrains now, and I can only imagine once they get tightened up and the performance is increased and they're more efficient, that you're going to be exploring these spaces and you can't save off your bat. And like, I just want to stay here right now and explore it. And I've got the seed and the coordinates in the comment section, and as you can see, the coordinates are up in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, but you can get the coordinates by pressing F3. But anyway, we whip out the drill's kind of glitchy still. There's a lot of glitches in this game, in this current build, that weren't actually in the previous one. For instance, storage was an issue in the last one. They fixed it, and now it's back. You can't store items. So hopefully the hotfix will fix that. But as you can see, the scale of this is huge. You got these deposits, and it is wonderful. It is just wonderful. I'm going to throw out a trailer here to kind of show a sense of the scale before we mine some oil out of the deposit. And I think it's fantastic what they've done with the landscape. And I just can't wait until it gets tightened up. The clipping, you know, there is clipping. There is still some performance issues. That's just going to be the way it is for a while. It's alpha, but it will get sorted. They have sorted out the floating foliage issue, where you'd be going around the environment and just end up dumping your ass into a hole because all the foliage covers it up and is floating above it. You didn't even have any sight line. You couldn't see what was in front of you. The scale has been toned back too. The scale of the foliage has been toned back, so you can actually enjoy the landscape now. So like I say, just take some time, generate a seed, and if you spend a little bit of time in the speedy hovercraft, just float around, and you'll notice that you just transition from all these different kind of landscape styles, from a karst to a boulder-esque landscape to rolling hills and prairies to a forest, snowy mountaintops. Even the old wormholes are there in a sense. I've seen some like more wormhole-y esque caves. So yeah, take a look, take your time, enjoy it, and keep playing strong. Peace.